Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Salvo and I'm here with you today for a mini lesson on percent of a number. Our first problem that we're going to start with is 30% of 50. Our percent model underneath is broken into 10 equal pieces. So I'm going to start at the beginning of my percent model with 0. And it's out of a total of 100%. So on the far right, I'm going to write down 100%. Now, because it is divided into 10 equal pieces, I'm going to divide my 100% into 10 equal pieces. So each piece is going to be worth 10%. So if I have one section, it will be 10%. If I have another section, that will be 10% more, or 20%. The next one would be 30%, then 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%, 10 more will give us 80%, 10 more will give us 90%, and then 10 more will give us our 100%. At the bottom of my percent model, again, I'm going to start with 0, and it's out of a total of 50. So at the end of my percent model, I'm going to put a total of 50. Now again, it's divided into 10 equal sections. So I'm going to take my total of 50 and divide it by 10 to give me 5. So that means that each section is worth 5. So after my first section, I have 5. 5 more from my next section will give me 10. 5 more will give me 15. 5 more, 20. 5 more is 25. 5 more is 30. And I'm going to continue to add 5 to each section to get me up to my total of 50. Now, our problem is asking us to find 30% of 50. So I'm going to find the 30% on my percent model, and I'm going to shape my model up to that 30%. So I notice that when I take 30% of my total here, I end up with 15. So 30% of 50 is 15. If I take my model and I rotate it on its side, it sets up a proportion for me. So I have 15 over 50, and I'm going to rewrite that as a proportion, or as a ratio, as a fraction. And on the right-hand side, I have 30% over 100%. So equals 30 over 100. So my model is showing me the same proportion as 15 over 50 equals 30 over 100. If we look at our second problem, we have 25% of 20. Again, we're going to start off the same way. We have our percent model that is divided into 10 equal sections. At the top of my model, I'm going to begin with 0%, and because percents are always out of 100, I'm going to end my model with 100%. My 100% is broken into 10 equal sections, so if I do 100 divided by 10, that gives me 10. So my first section would be 10%, my second section would be 10 more percent, which would give me 20%. And I'm going to continue to add 10% to each section. So 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, and 10 more would give me my 100% total. At the bottom of my percent model, I'm starting with 0, and it's out of a total of 20. So 20 will be at the end of my model. Again, my percent bar is broken into 10 equal sections. So I'm going to take my total of 20 and divide that by 10. 20 divided by 10 gives me 2. So I know that each section is worth 2. So my first section is 2. To get to my second section, that's 2 more, which is 4. 2 more is 6. 2 more is 8. Then 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 2 more would give me 20. Now, I'm trying to find 25% of 20. If I notice at the top of my model, there is no 25%, but I do know that 25% is halfway between 20% and 30%. So I'm just going to draw a line to represent that halfway in between 20% and 30% is my 25%. Now, looking at the bottom then of my model, I don't have anything in between, but I know that I have 4 and 6. And directly halfway in between 4 and 6 is the number 5. So if I'm trying to find out what 25% of 20 is, and I'm shading in my model up to 25%, I find that 25% of 20 is 5. Again, if I take my model and I rotate it on its side, I can set this up as a proportion now. So I notice that I have 5 over 20. So I'm going to write my fraction of 5 over 20 is equal to my percent of 25% over 100. So again, if I have this, I have 25% of 20 equals 5, or is 5. That is all that we have today for percent of a number. Again, my name is Sarah Salvo. I'm signing off with you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.